Here's my exact list of upsells, add-ons, and word-for-word script that tripled my add-on conversion rate and brought in 10 times more reviews than the average detailer. What's going on, guys? Luke here with Wilson Auto Detailing and AutoDetailer.com. I'm gonna start this video sharing with you guys the 5 add-ons that have made me the most money in my business, and then I'll get to a business breakdown. The very first add-on, and one of the most profitable over the years for my detailing business, is going to be black trim restoration, specifically using a product like Solution Finish or Cerakote Trim Restoration. Now, these two products I do think are kind of leaders in the black trim restoration world. Here's how I decide when to use one over the other. Solution Finish, in my opinion, is sort of this catch-all black trim restoration product that can truly be used on any type of black trim in really any type of situation. However, Cerakote Trim Restoration is going to be a true ceramic coating protection for the trim, which, number one, differentiates it from Solution Finish, and number two, it does tend to introduce a more like really deep black, really shiny appearance, whereas Solution Finish, when compared directly head-to-head with Cerakote, I think is a bit more of a softer finish. It's not quite as deep black, it's not quite as shiny, it's maybe a little bit more natural looking, actually. Those are kind of the two big visual distinctions. Secondly, like I said, Solution Finish is what I reach for if I'm ever unsure about a black trim restoration job, because I know Solution Finish can literally do anything and it's always gonna come out looking really, really great. The same is not true of Cerakote. Cerakote can really leave a lot of streaks behind, and it's not really as self-leveling as you might think reading the instructions. Because of that, it's something I'm a bit more hesitant to use. However, if I'm dealing with newer black trim that is in somewhat good condition, this is a really great product if you want a super long-term protection and that deep and also shiny visual appeal. Now, there are 3 reasons why black trim restoration is one of the most effective add-ons you can implement. Number 1, it is an extremely dramatic before and after look. You cannot underestimate how powerful this is for any add-on you're offering. When the customer can see what something looked like before and immediately see this instant gratification, oh my gosh, it looks so different after, it makes for a fantastic add-on experience. Secondly, an add-on like this takes basically no skill to actually implement, which means any detailer can do it. All you have to do is actually choose the right product. No training, no skills required. And finally, and this cannot be overstated, an add-on like this is generally not very time consuming. There are obviously exceptions, like if you're dealing with a Jeep Wrangler that has nothing but black trim on the outside, it's going to be a bit more time consuming, in which case your prices can fluctuate. However, generally speaking, for black trim restoration, you're talking about sub 30, sub 20 minutes in order to actually implement this add-on well and completely finish it, which makes it what I call, and you'll find this with the rest of the things that I'm about to highlight, a low cost, high margin play. This is the primary thing I'm looking for in all of my add-ons. Low cost in terms of time and actually money, resources. How much does it cost to implement? How much does the product cost? But secondly, it's high margin. In other words, all of that additional money added on from the add-on to that service is basically just gravy. It's all margin because the cost of the product is so low and the time needed to implement it is basically nil. The second add-on I have to highlight is engine bay detailing. The reason is, of course, it falls very easily into that exact same category I just described. Low cost, high margin. It is low cost both in terms of the product and in terms of the time. This is normally a sub 15-minute add-on in terms of the time. And secondly, this is only going to require a couple brushes, a degreaser, diluted, and some sort of dressing. Generally speaking, I like to use as basic of a degreaser as possible, something like super clean degreaser inside of a foam cannon or a foam pump sprayer. Let the foam sit, agitate the door jambs and a little on top with detail brushes, and then wash it off, turn the car on, let it dry. After it's dry, I come in with some sort of multi-purpose dressing. It's low cost, high margin, which is the first thing it has to be to fit into a great add-on category for me. And secondly, just like black trim restoration, it is a dramatic before and after, which is exactly what we hope for with a great add-on. If you can get the customer to see how dirty something is before and how amazing something looks afterwards, it gives them that instant gratification. It just puts a big green check mark on that add-on. The third add-on I want to highlight that has been extremely profitable for me over the years is Headlight Restoration. Now, part of the reason why Headlight Restoration has been so profitable is because I would call this, inside of the aftermarket car care world or the detailing world, more of a needs-based service. In other words, if you are restoring headlights, a lot of times it's because the customer has noticed not just the cloudy, yellowing, fading on the light and it does look terrible, but it's beyond just cosmetic, because now the light is getting dimmer on the road as they're driving at night and they can actually notice it. And so this is, again, why I call it more of a needs-based service. And when you can sell a needs-based service as an add-on, it just makes it all the more lucrative. Now, this is the exact same category as the other 2 add-ons I've already talked about. Number 1, it's low cost, high margin. The highest cost thing in here is going to be that initial tool that you purchase. I like to use the Mirka 3-inch palm sander and the sanding discs themselves, but the bottom line is I go through 1 disc per headlight per grit of sandpaper. And so it comes out to be a very, very economical thing to do. And the other difference is that headlight restoration tends to be a tad more time consuming, but again, that can be offset with tools that you're using. So compared to black trim restoration, compared to engine bay detailing, it is a little bit more time consuming, but again, still sub 1 hour, in some cases sub 45 minutes, still makes it very worth it as an add-on because it is high margin, and not to mention it serves the exact same purpose, being the dramatic before and after difference. When you can see before and you can see after of a headlight, it's something you don't have to educate a customer on, you don't have to look closely, they understand the value of it instantaneously, and there's a functional part of this add-on from the needs-based thing I just talked about, which makes it really lucrative. And my basic headlight restoration process, like I said, is the Mirka 3-inch palm sander. I'll generally use a 1,000 or a 1,500 grit disc, depending on how bad they are. Follow up with a 2,000 or 2,500, and generally I like to finish with 3,000 just because it makes my polishing steps so much easier. Then I come in with something like a 5-inch polisher or a 3-inch polisher. I can even use a medium cut foam pad if I finish with 3,000 grit sandpaper, because the medium grit foam pad is going to be enough aggression to polish out those final sanding marks. I'll use something like Meguiar's 105 or 205. After I get that clarity back, I'll finish with some sort of clear coat protective layer, and that's it. Headlight restoration, again, might feel like something that requires a bunch of training and a bunch of skill, but it's actually one of those offshoots of kind of the paint correction world, because it requires all the same products and tools, that doesn't really require any paint correction training or really any know-how. You're sanding off the top layer of clear coat, polishing out the sanding marks, and laying a layer of protection down. And that's my process with these specific tools and products that I use, which, by the way, I'll link up all that stuff in the YouTube description box below. The next add-on that's been extremely lucrative for me in my business is a glass ceramic coating, specifically on the windshield. And the reason for this is because I call this an experiential add-on. When you apply a ceramic coating to all of the glass or even just the windshield, it's something that the customer actually experiences the benefit of when they're driving in the rain. They see all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm on the interstate and I don't have to turn on my windshield. And then that protection is very durable, lasts a long time given the nature of ceramic coatings. It's a very easy add-on while you're on location to introduce your customer to, and again, it's what I call low cost, high margin. It takes very little product to apply to a windshield, a little bit more, of course, to apply to all of the glass, in which case prices can be adjusted, but low cost, high impact, experiential for the customer. And my process for doing this, by the way, is simply to clean the glass like anybody would. I do an initial clay bar treatment. Then I like to take a glass scraper with a little metal razor blade, scrape off anything that comes up. Then I'll come in with another step of 4/0 steel wool. I'll use that steel wool to rub all around the glass, finish with some alcohol, and then apply the ceramic coating. The time-consuming part of that, if there ever was one, is in the preparation, not in the actual application of the coating. But that preparation, when I list it out that way, might sound kind of time-consuming. It really isn't. Probably takes less than 3 or 4 minutes per window. Now, the final add-on that became very lucrative for me in my business is isolated scratch removal. And this one sort of stands out from the rest because when I say isolated scratch removal, I have to really emphasize the word isolated. What ended up happening in my business is because I catered to a lot of really higher end clientele, people who had weekend cars that they never drove in the rain, they were obsessed anytime they saw a tiny scratch on the vehicle to get it removed as fast as possible. So I'm not talking about the mom minivan that has scratches everywhere and she only notices one of them and says, hey, can you take care of this? Only to realize that when you do take care of that, she's gonna see 10 other scratches because the paint is absolutely riddled with them. That's really not what I'm talking about. But when you're dealing with higher end clientele, people who really do have those isolated imperfections, this is a fantastic add-on because they want it done and they bring it up, and therefore it doesn't actually have to be sold, but it's one of those extremely high margin types of services because I could introduce $100, $200, $250 addition to the initial price because you're getting into a very specialized type of service and they wanted it done so badly that it was very easy to charge that type of price for. And when you get into cosmetic repair work, you naturally start to charge a fee-based service rather than an hourly rate to actually get to some sort of end goal or end outcome, and the person is more than happy to pay for that. So I really like those specific isolated scratch removal for high-end clientele because number one, super high margin, number two, they bring it up and so you really don't have to sell it at all, and number three, it's really easy to do even if you're not the most skilled paint corrector but you have the proper tools and products. Now, how do you implement this profitably into your business? Here's where most detailers go dramatically wrong. Their add-on list normally is nothing more than something they have listed on their website, and potentially if they ever bring it up to a customer, they say something like, hey Jenny, we're detailing your car, we can go ahead and get rid of this scratch if you want us to, and then they hear crickets on the other end. Or they say, hey Jenny, your black trim really needs to be restored, we can give you a 10% off discount and we can do it right now if you really want us to. Crickets on the other end. They have no idea how to actually sell and upsell. Here is my 6-step process for selling an upsell that will triple your conversion rate. Number one, in an ideal situation, you're in person on location with the customer and you offer the add-on service simultaneously with props on your phone showing before and after pictures of what a vehicle who has had the add-on actually looks like. So for example, if I'm on location and I want to restore the black trim, I've got before and after pictures of black trim restoration that I have done on other customers' cars pulled up already, and I've got pictures of this particular customer's faded black trim so they can see their specific car before, and I show them the dramatic visual appeal. So when I bring it up, I have something else aiding my presentation so that when I say black trim restoration, I have something physical to show them and they can attach it to something in their mind. That's step number one. The second step is when you are on location, which is always the most effective way to sell and upsell, you offer a tiny discount to incentivize the purchase. And thirdly, right on the back of that, you justify the discount. Here's what it sounds like. Hey, Jenny, since we're already here on location detailing the Audi, we would love to go ahead and restore the black trim because we're offering a 10% off of all of our black trim restoration for customers when we're on location right now, moving into the summer season. Now, here is why you have to do it that way. If you are just offering a discount and you don't justify the why behind the discount, it actually lowers your conversion rate because customers perceive you as being needy, not as being a professional or an expert. When you give a discount, even a slight discount, which is what I suggest, not a big one, just a slight one, you have to immediately justify it such that the customer understands, oh, this isn't just random because you need more money and you need more business. This is because you're already here on location. Something logical clicks in their mind and they say, oh, I get it. For customers where you're already shown up at the house, you offer 10% off because, of course, it's just easy for you to get it done. You have to offer the reason. Step number 3 is always justify the discount. Now, you also heard me say, as we're moving into the summer season, I also like to attach the discount to something seasonal so it feels like that there's an end to the discount coming in the future and it's not just going to be offered forever. Hey, Jenny, we can offer you 10% off of this black trim restoration because we're already here and we're doing this discount as we move into the summer season, ramping up our business. It implies that there's a deadline, which again removes that neediness feel and it immediately increases your conversion rate. So that's steps 1, 2, and 3. Step 4 is that you actually require something in return if they do claim it and say yes. So it sounds like this. Hey, Jenny, because we're already here on location, we can offer 10% off of black trim restoration, which, the Audi really needs anyways. Here's a couple pictures to show you some before and after of what this looks like. It's a long-term fix, not just detailing, but it's actually fixing the issue apart from just cleaning. And if you want us to go ahead and take care of this, we'll take some before and after pictures of your vehicle as well. And we ask all of our customers who take any of our discounted services to leave us an honest review on Google Business Profile because we want other customers to be able to see what this experience is like, especially as we're moving into our busy season during the summer. So that's something you'd be interested in. Notice how I just worked into the add-on getting a Google Business Profile review from the customer. This does 2 things, by the way. Number 1, it gets me a review, which is one of my top priorities, especially in the beginning or intermediate stages of my business. But number 2, when you're giving a discount, just like I said, it has to be justified to remove the neediness. It is also a very skillful thing to do to require something in return that doesn't require much of them, like a review. And because you've already showed them before and after pictures of other customers, it's an easy segue into the conversation saying, and we can take before and after pictures of your vehicle so that you can include them in an honest review on Google Business Profile afterwards. We'll send you the link because we want other customers as we move into our busy season to see what these services are like and what the experience is like. Is that something you would be willing to do? And it gives them yet another reason to say yes to the discount because you've removed the neediness and said, hey, we don't have to do this. This is what we require in return. And there's actually something about requiring something that makes it feel like you've pulled away or differentiated from the customer such that you don't just want their money, but you actually want them to leave you a review for an honest service because you're building something up and there's a reason why you're doing it. All of this starts to work together for them to almost 100% of the time say yes to the add-on. Now, I already said this, but step number 5 is to explain the why behind the review, which of course sounds like this. We want other customers to be able to see what this experience is like as we move into our busy season, into the summertime. So again, just like you have to justify the discount, you have to justify the ask or the requirement for the review itself. And step number 6 is what I already worked in, which is you assume that they will leave the review with the content that you're going to send to them. Those are the 6 steps to making an add-on almost irresistible where people cannot say no. You offer the service with some visual props. Number 2, you give the discount. Number 3, you justify the discount. Number 4, you require the review. Number 5, you explain why you require the review. And number 6, you assume that they will leave the before and after content in the review. That's the 6 steps to ensure you triple your conversion rate when you're selling add-ons in person. And just as a bonus, I'll give you guys the types of visuals for each of these add-ons that I use for customers when I'm trying to sell it. When you're dealing with black trim restoration, headlight restoration, or engine bay detailing, it's always before and after, before and after, before and after. You want to show the before and the after because it highlights the problem and it highlights the dramatic nature of the solution. So it's always before and after pictures. When you're selling a glass ceramic coating, it always makes sense to have in your back pocket some sort of video where you've split a windshield in half, you've coated one side and you have not coated the other side, and you just show the water behavior with a hose of the treated versus the untreated side. That video is what I bring up anytime selling glass ceramics. And when I'm selling scratch removal, I actually don't have a visual appeal or some sort of like picture that I show because the before and after doesn't have the same dramatic effect, but I like to introduce what I call an add-on to the add-on when you're dealing with isolated scratches, because in the scenario I painted of the higher end car, the person has kind of locked in on a single scratch. What is almost always true about that person is that they've locked in on one scratch, but there's at least 2, 3, or maybe 4 other ones that are still very prominent around the car that they're just not seeing because they're so over-focused on the one. I like to walk around the vehicle with that person, tape, and point out a few other scratches and ask them if they'd like to bundle these together and therefore save on the total. For example, I can fix this one scratch for 115, or we can go ahead and just grab all 4 while I'm out here doing it for 195, and we can take care of all of it in one fell swoop. Again, I call it the add-on to the add-on, and it works in some cases and not others. Scratch removal is definitely one of them. You can go from 115 to 195 very quickly, and of course, I'm not introducing exponentially more time. I've already got all my stuff out. I'm just gonna hit those areas potentially slightly with some sandpaper and then polish it out, or just polish out those scratches because they're surface level enough to do that. So again, it's a way of giving them what they want, which is essentially more access to the same exact service by showing them more problems, and I get to make more margin because I'm out here taking care of this one already. We might as well wrap it all together. And just to put some hard numbers behind this, as an example, if you charge $200 for a basic complete detail, but you add on black trim restoration for $75, you just increased your profit by 38%. There's not a lot of things in your detailing business you can do to instantaneously increase your profit by 38% just with a good 6-step script and having a few products that allow you to do some pretty dramatic before and after visual stuff. All right, guys, hope this helps. It's extremely tactical to make more money today. And by the way, if you want a full list of tools and products I suggest for beginners, go below to wilsonautodetailing.com and grab the Pro Detailing Toolbox there. And if you're already a detailing business owner, but you want to grow your business a bit faster, go to autodetailer.com. Would love to talk to you and see if you're a good fit for our membership to join a group of the most qualified detailers you could possibly get around to help grow your business faster. Thank you guys so much for watching. And by the way, if you got value from this video, click the video on screen where I show you how to bundle all of these add-ons together to make exponentially more money than you ever otherwise would doing basic detailing.